are basically what we're going to be talking about today. We'll start with the night guide appliance. And the night guide appliance is used in the 5 to 7-year-old child. And if we take a look, we call it preventive orthodontics because we're going to prevent crowding from occurring, we're going to prevent overbite from developing, and then we're going to also intercept developing overjets. It can also correct many other things. It can correct cross bites, it can correct pseudo class 3 occlusions, it can correct open bites in many cases, so it can be used in many other cases. But the three major problems in any malocclusion basically are crowding or rotations, overbite, and overjet. And these three items are what consist or mainly contribute to almost all malocclusions. There are other things that enter in, but if you can correct those three items with an appliance, you can correct most malocclusions. So when we take a look at this appliance is actually has a slit up the front. It opens so that the child can breathe through their mouth easily. That is the night guide appliance. The second appliance is called the occlusa guide, and this appliance goes up through the first permanent molars, whereas the younger appliance only goes up through the second deciduous molars. So the appliance on the left is the night guide, and the appliance on the right side is the occlusa guide. Now these sockets are prefabricated, and since they are prefabricated, we can predict incoming teeth as far as their size and shape is concerned. So we don't need an appliance that's custom made to these teeth. We could use these appliances to guide teeth in, for example, a bicuspid that's coming in buccally or lingually or distally or mesially. It can be guided into that socket very nicely because we have a prefabricated socket that is shaped for that specific tooth. It's the same size as that tooth. Because as I told you before, teeth are highly correlated in the mouth. If you have large front teeth, you're going to have large back teeth. If you have small upper teeth, you're going to have small lower teeth. And these correlations are so high that we can actually predict the sizes of teeth. So we're going to use natural eruptive forces, as you see here. We're going to use the forces of the teeth as they come into the mouth to move teeth. The forces of eruption are quite strong. I don't know if you've ever had the experience where a tooth comes in and it can move 3 and 4 teeth over by its eruption force, and yet it takes very little force to stop a tooth from erupting. It only takes an ounce or two of force to stop a tooth from erupting, but the force of eruption is quite substantial. We also use collagenous fiber development. And this collagenous fiber development, we allow teeth to come into the mouth. We're going to guide them into the mouth, and they're going to straighten themselves out as they come in the mouth. Once they're straight, the collagenous fibers develop around these teeth. As they're erupting, they do not have adult collagenous fibers. And so it's very easy to move teeth at this stage. Once these fibers form on these teeth, this helps to hold them in place. So these collagenous fibers really are our natural retainer for these teeth. It's a little bit opposite to orthodontics. Orthodontics, for example, straightens teeth typically at around 11, maybe 12 years of age, after the fibers are already formed. So we're rotating teeth around, and the collagenous fibers are being stretched. And when you let go, they snap back again. In fact, there was an experiment done by John Edwards in North Carolina several years ago, and he took 16 rotated teeth. And he rotated all of these teeth. But before he did that, he tattooed the tissues in 3 spots below each of these teeth. And as he rotated the teeth, he saw that these tattoos moved in the direction of the rotation. In other words, the soft tissue was being dragged by that rotating tooth. So now once all 16 teeth were straightened, 8 of the teeth he let go. He stopped straightening them, and he saw that the tattoos moved back straight, and it also moved the tooth back to its original position. The other 8 teeth, he took a scalpel and he cut the collagenous fibers down to the interproximal bone. The minute he did that, he saw that the tattoo snapped back straight, but 7 of the 8 teeth stayed straight. So this shows you the effect of collagenous fibers. As orthodontists, we really are, in a way, very foolish in the way we straighten teeth, because we're straightening teeth after the fact. And frequently I ask, how many people have had their teeth straightened? Anybody have their teeth straightened in this room? Raise your hand. Keep them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 people approximately have had their teeth straightened. How many have straight teeth today? Raise your hand. 2 people, 3 people. This is very typical. Do any of you still wear your appliance? You wear your appliance still. Do you wear anything? No? No? The solution orthodontically today is that you wear your retainer the rest of your life. Well, that's not so healthy for your teeth either, because you're moving them back and forth constantly over years and years. And so it's not very practical. We do have to find a different solution. What if we were going to straighten teeth before the fibers were formed that create the rotations in the first place and create the relapses? So we could go down into a 5 or 6-year-old and have these teeth rotate before the fibers were ever formed. I might give you an experiment to perform on your own sometime. You take 2 teeth in the same mouth that are rotated. One tooth has been in the mouth for at least a year. Say a first bicuspid has come in and it's rotated, but it's been in there for a year. The other one is rotated in a similar fashion, but it's in the process of eruption. So you put brackets on both teeth and you straighten both teeth. And you keep track of how much force it takes to straighten each of those teeth. And you keep track of how long it takes you to straighten both of those teeth. You'll find that the tooth that has been in the mouth for a year will take 5 to 10 times longer to straighten than the tooth that's erupting. And then once they're straight, you let go of them and you see what happens. The tooth that was in the process of eruption will stay straight. The other one will snap back immediately to its original position. And this tells you the effect that collagenous fibers have on rotations in the mouth. Robert Little from Washington University states that 75% of rotated teeth corrected at 12 years of age relapse long term. 75% of overbite and 75% of overjet relapse also. What are the solutions to this? Well, the solutions are to be able to treat young enough where you avoid the lack of growth vertically, horizontally, and the lack of development of collagenous fibers. So if we were to take a look at a slide, and this is by a researcher by the name of Lundergan. He studied 103,500 children in St. Louis, Missouri, many years ago. And he analyzed their malocclusions. I've plotted his data out into a graph so that you can see what the graph is. You can see between 6 years of age and 8 years of age, there's a tremendous increase in malocclusions. Are you aware that that happens? When you look at a malocclusion at 12 years of age, you think that thing's been there for that whole lifetime of that child. That is not true. I don't know if you've ever had a mother tell you, where you have a child in at 8 or 9 years of age and you tell the mother, well, this child's going to need orthodontics, and she will tell you, oh, you should have seen the teeth when he was 5. They were so beautiful. They were perfect. The more perfect the teeth are at 5, the worse they're going to look at 8, let me tell you. And the reason for that is that closed contacts will end up with crowding about 70 to 85% of the time. If they have crowded baby teeth, they'll end up with crowded permanent teeth 100% of the time. They have to have 6 millimeters of space to get no crowding in every case, according to Leighton from England. So you can see the detrimental effect that the malocclusion has. When you look beyond 8, there is an increase in malocclusion, but it's kind of gradual and it's less in intensity. So if we could get in at 5 or 6 years of age and hold that dentition just the way it is, you can see that we could improve that condition by 12 by a tremendous amount. We could prevent all of the rest of this malocclusion from taking place. And that's the object of this appliance. So prevention is really a lot simpler than correction. If we let everything correct or disintegrate to 12, as these cases are doing in St. Louis, we're going to make the job a lot harder for ourselves. And when you start looking at cases of 5 and 6 year olds that I'm going to show you in a few minutes, they all look basically the same. Their occlusions are almost the same every time. And yet if you look at a 12-year-old, their malocclusions are different. They've got cross bites, they've got severely rotated, crowded teeth, they have class 2 malocclusions and so forth. So a lot of things are happening during this period of time. If we take a look a little bit further, the increase in incisal crowding on that left scale there from Heckman in 82 longitudinal cases shows that there's a tremendous amount of incisal crowding that occurs between about 5 and 8 years of age again. It's another research project that shows the same results. And here's a summary of 5 or 4 studies by different people, all longitudinal studies, all talking about incisal crowding from the deciduous to the mixed dentition. The first one shows 67% increase, 69%, 78, 67. Out of 238 cases, 69% increase in crowding. That's kind of significant. What if we could prevent all of that? Wouldn't that be something? We take a look at overbite and overjet. The overbite is the solid line going through here. And you can see that the overbite increases very dramatically from, again, 6 to 8 years of age. What's happening here? We also look at the overjet. That's the dotted line, and you can see that increase slightly, but not as much. Well, the teeth do have force when they're erupting, and they continually erupt, particularly if there's an overjet present. If there's no overjet, sometimes they're prevented from erupting completely. But if there's a severe overjet, or if the overjet is increasing slightly, it allows the teeth to erupt a little bit further. And so the overbite on the average increases about 2 millimeters from the deciduous to the permanent dentition over a 2-year period from about 6 to 8 years of age. What if we could prevent that? So a child that has a 2 millimeter overbite at 5 will end up having a 4 millimeter overbite by 8 years of age. And it would be nice to be able to prevent that. Why does all this occur? Probably the major reason is that the upper permanent teeth erupt labial to the deciduous incisors usually, and so do the lowers. But the uppers erupt more labially in relation to the lower eruptions of permanent teeth. So that's why this overjet increases. And when the overjet increases, it also then allows the permanent teeth to erupt a little bit more fully. So what are we going to do? What would be the design of an appliance? Obviously, when we take a look at a deciduous dentition, The permanent teeth are generally larger.